Hi everyone, it's Kristian Thomas here. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that put some questions forward on social media. So I'm going to try and get through as many of those questions as I possibly can. So let's get going. And the first question that I've got is, what did it feel like to get an Olympic medal around your neck? And that was from Lily, age 10 on Facebook. I would have to say, Lily, the overwhelming feeling of it all was probably just proud of the fact that I had got to compete in front of my family, my friends, my coaches, my loved ones. Everybody that supported me throughout my career was there, and to do it in front of a home Olympics as well. And also, I guess, proud of myself for putting myself through all the years of training and hard work to get to that level. So definitely a very, very proud moment in my career. What would you say having an extra year before the Olympics due to COVID-19 is now an advantage for gymnasts or disadvantage due to the disruption of the current training? That was from Matt Hood on Twitter. I would say that that's very dependent on the athlete and very individual to each athlete as well, because some athletes who potentially might be struggling a little bit with injuries during this time, well, actually now that gives them a whole 12 months to get themselves back in a good shape. And then for other athletes perhaps that was looking to retire at the end of this year and finish after Tokyo Olympics, well, they almost now have to reset that mentality and go again for another 12 months, which could be quite difficult to do. So I think it's going to be very, very challenging for some, but at the same time, it's going to be an advantage to others as well. So different to everyone. My son Harry is about to begin a British gymnastics coaching apprenticeship. What is the best piece of advice your coach has ever given to you? And that is from Alexis on Facebook. Not too sure about the best advice, but some of the best questions a coach ever gave to me was, did you feel the difference in that? And I think even at a young age, even though back then I probably couldn't feel much of a difference, over time I learned how to almost coach myself and feel the difference between one skill into another, and between a good go and a bad go. And I think if you can teach and coach a gymnast to do that and to have that awareness of themselves and empower them to have that understanding of their own body, then for me that's one of the best things that you can do as a coach. Next question is from Harry on Facebook. What has it been like to watch the growth of gymnastics since winning your Olympic medal? Well, Harry, it's been incredible. It really has just seen the profile of the sport just sort of shoot up. To see now that gymnastics is an event that's, I guess, on television a little bit more regular. I guess it's on social media platforms that has made it also raise the profile of it as well. So for me, I'm just glad that I was part of that process in helping raise the profile of the sport, and now I've passed that on to some of the younger guys who are equally doing a brilliant job. So long may that continue, and hopefully we're inspiring lots and lots of gymnasts and young boys to take up the sport, because for me, I really do think it's an incredible sport to be part of. What is your favourite event in gymnastics, and what is your favourite skill? And that was Andrew on Facebook. Favourite event I'd probably say was either the high bar or the floor. And the reasons for that is because, I guess, especially on the high bar, a little bit more, I guess, scary perhaps, a little bit more dangerous at times, but equally it was quite an exciting piece of apparatus to do. And I'd say favourite skill was probably, again, on the high bar, the Lukin, which is the catch in a straight body shape with the full turn as well, and hopefully catching the bar at the end of it as well. So that's probably my favourite skill. Next question is, how have your skills come in handy outside of the gym? And that was Laura on Instagram. I think that gymnastic skills, irrelevant of what sport you might then go do, will give you such a good base for the future. And yes, there's all the cool little tricks that can help you as well. So for example, I'm sure you'll have the best goal celebration for scoring in football or some other sport, being able to do backflips, walking hands, all these cool things that nobody else could do. But also, even if you're not competing gymnastics at that elite level, you can still use those basics to take you and transfer into another sport and be in a much better position with the levels of your strength and coordination and various other attributes and sporting characteristics that you pick up from doing gymnastics. How did you become part of the Olympic team? Did you get spotted? And that was Tilly on Instagram. I became part of the Olympic team when I was 23 years old, and prior to that I was part of the Great Britain team and competing at Europeans, World Championships, Commonwealth Games, and I was always part of the GB team throughout that process. So once you get towards the Olympics, then you have to do trials against all the other team members in the country, and then be within the top ranking to make that gymnastics team that goes on to compete at Olympic Games. So yeah, quite a competitive environment to be part of. Next question is, what was the turning point in your career, going from trying your best to getting serious, and how did you get there? And that was Jack on Instagram. I think with anything in life, there's no sort of short steps or secrets. You have to put in the hard work, and I guess it became fairly serious from a young age with the gymnastics, because I was part of the Great Britain programme at 12 years old. So that's still quite a young age to dedicate a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice along the way at a young age. And I think all of that within itself encompasses what you need to be able to do to get to an elite level sort of status. It's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but if you are able to do that and stick at it and enjoy that ride as well, then it is such an incredible experience to be a full-time athlete and professional athlete. Next question is, what is your favourite routine you have ever competed? And that was Jolie on Instagram. I would say favourite routine was my floor routine that I did at the London Olympics 2012, and I was the last man up to deliver the routine for Great Britain. And essentially that meant if I did a clean routine, we won an Olympic medal, first one as a team in over 100 years. If not, then obviously we'd have to wait another 4 years to try and do it again. And I can't remember being really confident before that routine, and actually just being able to go out there and enjoy that moment despite it being that quite high pressurised environment. And I remember just being egged on and encouraged by the crowd, my teammates, and for me that was just an incredible experience in front of a home crowd at the London Olympics. So for me, that's my favourite routine. Do you have any special rituals before your competition? Ruby, age 12 on Facebook. No special rituals as such, but if I was competing in the UK, I tended to go for the same breakfast every time, which was scrambled egg on wholemeal toast with some baked beans. And whether that was ritual or I guess habit, not quite too sure, but that would tend to be my go-to breakfast the day of a competition. What competition did you enjoy the most? And that was Lana on Instagram. I think although Olympics is an incredible experience, I think I was fortunate enough to compete at a Europeans, a World Champs, a Commonwealth, and an Olympic Games, all domestically, so within the UK. And any opportunity I had to compete internationally and represent Great Britain in front of a home crowd was, for me, just a special moment. And really almost like having an extra team member on your team competing in front of that home crowd. So any of those big competitions, major championships on the UK soil. What was the hardest part of your career, Amy on Instagram? I would say the hardest part of my career was probably the teenage years, when I was training almost as a full-time athlete, so 25 hours a week, and then similar sort of hours in school as well. And as well as then, I guess, your social pressures of trying to go out with your friends and family as well. So for me, that was really difficult time, and I had to learn to be, I guess, very time savvy and make a lot of commitments and sacrifices during those years to make sure that I was able to carry on with doing my education and then also excel in gymnastics as well. And I needed a lot of help and support as well through my family and my coaches during that period, which I'm very thankful that I got, and also I guess a little bit from my school as well. So that for me was the hardest part of my career. What inspired you to start gymnastics from the Ingham family on Instagram? What inspired me? I guess at 5 years old when I started gymnastics, didn't know anything about the sport, where it would take me, what was involved of the sport, what even gymnastics was, to be honest. But I guess that I was fairly lucky that I found a sport at a young age that not only was I fairly good at, but a sport that I enjoyed. And I think that anybody trying to get involved in gymnastics or any sport, for whatever sport that might be, I think if you can enjoy it and you can work and set goals and progress, then that's definitely a sport that you can achieve and do well in, and something that I think you can inspire to get better and improve on. So for me, gymnastics ticked all those boxes throughout my whole career, and I think a reason why it inspired me to continue to keep pushing myself within the sport. I'm an 11-year-old trampolinist and would like to know how you overcome fears and mental blocks. And that was Ollie on Facebook. Very, very difficult thing to overcome, mental blocks, but also quite a regular thing as well. And I would say that the key here really is to have patience, because, and I know that's a lot easier said than done, but having patience for something like this, you almost have to take 3 or 4 steps backwards before you're able to go forwards. Make sure that you build those steps back up very slowly, that you build that confidence up slowly. And I think by doing that and almost taking just a little bit of time back before progressing forward, you'll be able to get yourself back to the position that you wanted, and hopefully then overcome those mental blocks. And that's the way that I used to tackle anything where I had perhaps mental blocks on certain skills. The next question I've got is, if you could do another sport, what would it be and why? And that's Sophia on Instagram. Sophia, I think I'd love to have a go at doing skeleton, the winter sport, the Winter Olympic sport. Not only have we got a good tradition of it within the UK and Great Britain, but I think it looks pretty cool. Sending yourself flying down what almost looks like a toboggan or a sledge, going pretty fast as well, and that looks pretty cool to me. I'd like to have a go at that. What is the best thing that gymnastics taught you? Helen on Instagram. Gymnastics in general, and being a full-time athlete, it taught me hundreds and hundreds of things, but I guess one of the most important things for me was a little bit around resilience, whether that was mental resilience, whether that's physical resilience. As an athlete, you take a lot of setbacks, and to be able to pick yourself up and carry on and bounce back from those setbacks, you need to be mentally and physically resilient. And without a doubt, all those sort of attributes and characteristics that I learned, resilience being the main one, is something now I take into my life outside sport, and I think it's really, really important that I keep that in mind as I try and progress throughout my career post gymnastics now. Next question is, how many hours did you train a week, and did you have a complete rest day? And that's Ross, age 11, on Facebook. Yes, Ross, I made sure I rested on Sundays. Sunday was the day of rest. And I would train 6 days a week, 25 to 30 hours a week, depending on where in the year we was training and whether we had competitions coming up. But Sunday I would make sure I would rest, recover, because then the next week I needed to make sure I could go at that same level of intensity again. What have you got up to since retiring? And that's Martin on Instagram. So I've been retired now just under 3 years, or just over 3 years. And during that time, I've completed my degree from the University of Wolverhampton. I've done some coaching. I've done lots and lots of work in schools as well, hopefully inspiring children up and down the country. I'm also now working with Olympic and Paralympic athletes with the British Athletes Association, helping out as well with British Gymnastics in various different roles, and now also an ambassador for the British Gymnastics Foundation. So lots and lots of different things going on, and I guess I'm quite fortunate to that gymnastics has given me that platform to be able to do all these different things. And last question of the Q&A today, probably my favourite question of them all, is from Sam on Instagram, who asks, Kristian, why are you such a legend? Thank you very much, Sam. I guess the simple and short answer to this is because I did gymnastics. Thank you to everybody who sent in your questions. Make sure you keep following British Gymnastics so you can see and keep up to date with all the latest content that they're putting out. Thank you very much.